In this part 2, let's understand how we take a table and then convert it into a chart through the use of this thing called marks. What does really mark mean? So let's start off with the question that I posed for you in the last video. Have you found out what becomes a mark in Tableau? The answer is this one, the cell, which is highlighted here in red. If you have drawn this on paper, this becomes very easy for you to understand what I'm going to say. So I'm going to switch to Tableau, take this same report, and then from there, let's look at how Tableau converts this into a chart. So here is the same report. It has data for 4 years. It has a year then broken down by quarter and then gender wise breakup also. This is quite a complex report. So to really get started, I want to use a simple version of this which just has a year and a total salary per year. Let's take just these 4 data points and then see how we can convert this into a chart. So stop for a moment and think about, in our school days we took that chart paper or graph paper and then we used to draw a lot of these different charts, right? So what did we do? For each of the data points we put a point, right? So that's the term that we use. The same point plot here in Tableau, this is exactly what I have done here. So the same point plot is called basically a circle plot, where each point we are putting a circle. The translation or the term that Tableau uses for what we call a point is mark. So each one of this is a mark. So there are 4 marks here in this chart, what we call the circle plot or circle view, and then they are plotted on a horizontal axis going from the 0 to the maximum value, which is about 1.5 million. So if you put these two things side by side, you can see how this works. So now you can see 2011, 12 in the table form. It does not really give us the information which is bigger, which is smaller, whereas this dot plot, so if I turn off the labels, which is a distraction here, so let me turn off the labels, we can clearly see which year is high, right? So what other ways could we have done this? So the other possibility is, so we could, instead of drawing the axis horizontally, we could draw the axis vertically. So what's happening is, in Tableau, if you ask Tableau to do this, so it takes year is still within each one of these rows, and then within each year Tableau is drawing this kind of a chart axis, a full axis for each year, and then just one value only. I don't think any human will do this. So logically what we will probably end up doing is this makes much more sense, right? So the whole idea is, if you are drawing a chart or a plot, we should use that to depict as many data points as possible rather than just one data point like this. But that's the whole idea. So this is the second chart, right? So now let's compare these two versions. Which one makes more sense to you? So here is the table, and then we converted this into 2 possible charts. For most of us humans, we are used to seeing time along the horizontal or the column direction, right? So the time is increasing in this way. So this becomes much easier to grasp for us. And in fact, so what is even easier to grasp, if I go to this original one, and then instead of selecting a circle, if I select a line, and then so this becomes much easier for us to see. This is what is called a trend. So we are used to seeing a line for a trend, which is effective, right? So here is where Tableau's use of this mark type. So we already understood mark means a point, and then now how did I decide from a circle to a line? So in the circle case, each point is plotted on its own, nothing else is done, right? So but in the case of a line, all Tableau is doing is it's connecting these different circles or different marks, right? So that is what you are seeing here. In case of a bar, Tableau will take each of these points and then will draw a bar that touches all the way to the base, right? So that is what you see here as a bar, right? So that those are the different chart types. So if we really want to change it to a different chart type in Tableau, we are thinking about the mark type, which is what is available in this thing. And then in the case of a line chart, we just connect the different marks, but we don't really drop a shadow, right, like we have done in the case of a bar. So what if we shadow or shade all these areas underneath it like the bar chart? Then we have basically area chart, right, which gives us a slightly different view, which would be useful when we have multiple things that are going on and we want to see composition, what is how it is made up, right? For this simple chart, line conveys the message much better. This way we can kind of change any of this mark type. So instead of a circle, I can put a square. In this case it doesn't make a difference, but there are views called heat maps and others, like tree map, where this square as a mark type will come in handy. So and then so on, Tableau goes on to look at map, and almost all of the ideas that Tableau uses, they are all here, right? So through the clever use of this simple thing called mark type, Tableau allows us to create different varieties of charts. So these are the mark types you see, and from this, these are 24 charts that are coming from this simple set of marks. But not only are these 24 charts possible in Tableau, you could create a lot more things that are not mentioned here in Show Me in Tableau, right? Through the clever use and proper understanding of this whole marks card, right? So the key of the marks card is what's called the mark type, which typically we see it as a chart type in other tools like Excel. But this mark type allows us a lot more flexibility than what other tools allow in terms of chart type. So in this part, let me stop with this simple idea, mark type. In the next video, I will cover what other things we can do to the mark. Can we just color the marks, which is what color is about, and then can we change the size of the marks? So can we make something bigger, something smaller, to make the message, some parts emphasize, some parts less emphasize? Instead of drawing everything as one type, for example, everything as square, can I draw something as a square, something as a circle to differentiate? So we are talking about adding to the meaning of each of these points by changing some aspect of that, which is the term encoding really. So how do we encode different items into marks, which is what I will cover in more detail in the next video.